You can say hello. You can give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. I just want to make sure my sound's working. Excuse me. Let's wait a couple more minutes before we start. Hope everyone's having a good day. It's a little rainy here today. So we just got out a moment ago, got a little air. But we'll do a nice gentle practice here in a moment. Do a little relaxation. I did a workshop yesterday on the polyvagal theory, which is essentially the nervous system. And it's been interesting just thinking about the nervous system and how our nervous systems are impacted by collectively everything that's going on. And then also, what we have going on in our personal lives. So some of us have immense stress that we'd have regardless of whether we're in the shelter in place or not. So it's just interesting when talking about the nervous system, and it's a little bit different to talk about it now, just given everything that's going on. So a lot of potential for mental meltdowns or even mental illness as people, struggle with everything. So I wanted to do a practice today that just allows us to connect and relax and settle the nervous system down and release. And we'll be doing that in a moment here. So I'm going to make my way over to my mat so I'm ready to go at 5. And we'll be here for about an hour today. So yesterday at the workshop that I was teaching, it was interesting. We were talking about the nervous system, and that we have this sympathetic nervous system, which is this mobilization that moves us towards something during a threat, but also it's the energy that allows us to get up in the morning and allows us to move about our day. Some of us are lacking in energy a little bit too. And then we talked about the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that we shut down during threat or during stress. And it also is the part of the nervous system that settles the body down and allows us to relax and recover and restore. And then this third piece is a newer piece, and that's based on the vagus nerve, which is this ventral component. And the ventral nerve, that part of the nerve comes into the face, into the throat, and then there's a unique connection between the facial muscles, the voice, so sound, and the heart. And the example that I gave is that when you might have a baby who's very familiar with its mother, and the mother can settle it down, and when it's upset, but a stranger coming nearby because it's not familiar with the face, it might send it into a little bit of distress. So, the vagus nerve, it develops when we're at that age, and over time we begin to discern what's safe and what's not safe as far as our interaction with others. And that's based on what people might say to us, or the tone in which they say it, facial expression, and then also body language. And then what's beautiful though is that we have this ability to co-regulate each other. And one of the things, there was a study where they we're monitoring a baby's heart, and then how the baby would respond to its mother's face when she, came close to it with a soft, soothing look. That it literally, how we interact with each other can change our heart rate and help settle us down. And what I have found, because I'm teaching in a lot of virtual communities right now, that a lot of people are just lacking that connection, and it's affecting our ability to regulate our own nervous system, because we rely so much often on our ability to connect with others, more than we probably realize. Even when we're at the grocery store, we're not even able to connect in a neutral setting, just the way we normally do. So it's really interesting. We're in an interesting time to explore how those things affect our bodies. So I find it really fascinating. Maybe you do too. And so I'd like to today just practice a little bit of relaxation. We're going to do a little tremoring, because I do think that energetically we need to discharge some things. And we'll do a little breath work too at the end. So let's start by grounding. We'll sit up nice and tall. And you can bring your gaze down to, actually before we ground, if you have a strap nearby and a block or a bolster or a blanket, have those handy. Go ahead and grab those. And then otherwise, well, the rest of us, or maybe you have all of those things with you, we're going to sit up nice and tall, and then bring your awareness down to a place on your floor. Or you can close your eyes and just begin to notice your breath. So, yeah, and when I notice my breath, you might have even heard that or picked up on that. I have this nice, satisfying inhale, which is our sympathetic nervous system when we inhale. And fairly quickly, I like to transition to my awareness to the exhale, and also begin to lengthen the exhale, because like most people, my exhale tends to be less active. So I want the exhale to be longer, because that's what's going to initiate that parasympathetic response. And for our purposes, we like to breathe in and out of the nose, just because it's more controlled, and for most people, it's less anxiety provoking. So if that's comfortable, and then just do a check-in. Just notice what arises as you're breathing. When we notice the breath, often what comes next in our awareness is just sensations in the body, especially if there are parts of the body where there might be a little discomfort. And with each exhale, just allow the body to melt. So softening that tension, just letting it melt away. And softening, especially the muscles in the face. As I mentioned, we have these nervous system, they're almost like antennas through the vagus nerve that come into the face, and we hold so much tension here. We're going to address that too a little bit, to create some softness around the nerve endings, so that they're just a little stimulated and a little more awake, and we're releasing any stress that might be around them. So we'll do that here shortly. And then as you're ready, we'll bring the arms out to the side. We're going to inhale the arms out and up. Gather the energy, and then lower the hands down the front side of the body as you ground the front side of the body. And we'll do that 2 more times. Inhaling, gathering. And then lower your hands as you ground the back side of the body. And we'll do 1 more. Inhale. And gather. And then lowering right down the center channel. We'll bring our hands together in front of our heart. We'll start our practice today with 1 round of Om. Joining me if you wish. Let's all exhale together. And inhale. Namaste. So I'd like to start by we're just going to get the body a little bit awake. So we're going to start with some tapping just around the body. Let's start with the hands. So we'll start on the inside of the thumb, and we're going to come up the inside and then make your way down the outside of the hand, just to wake up the tissues a little bit. One of the things I did yesterday, this is one of the things that I'm doing actually quite a bit on myself, because I really like, I like tapping the meridians. I've just become a big fan of tapping in general. I think it's super easy and super accessible and very valuable, because we're just awakening the meridians and then just opening them up to release any stagnation. And then the next time the hand comes up, just pat it along the shoulder a little bit, up towards the neck. And then squeeze the shoulder, and then just begin to kind of gently, like imagine you're squeeging down the arm, just giving gentle squeezes, and then you're squeeging any like energy you don't want, scoop it off and then throw it into the earth. Do that a couple of times. And that's how this helps integrate. I find it when I'm just tapping and not doing any of the sweeping, I don't feel the integration as much. It feels a little chaotic. So this helps me. And then we'll do the other side. So starting the inside with the way to the outside. And so it's a generous tap, but tapping in a manner that's comfortable for you. A couple more times. Doing some quick tapping. And then squeezing, and then just imagine you're squeegeeing the arm of any stagnation, excess energy. Do that a couple of times, a little integration as well. Good. And then let's do the feet. So we'll start by coming, actually let's go down the outside of the legs. And then the inside, the belly to the low back. This is something we can do standing. We can also do it seated. Just a little bit. Awake, 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 awake. A couple more. You could do a whole class on tapping. I remember Ken Carroll, when he used to teach at Breathe, this would be like half the class tapping. And then scooping, like that squeegee, sliding the hands down, tossing, just gathering any excess sludgy energy. You can even imagine a color that you're sludging off. Mine's usually a kind of a brownish green, unpleasant color. Good. And then let's cross the legs for a minute again and take our hands on the belly and just begin to circle around the belly. Again, just getting some energy flowing. You can feel the warmth of your hands, the energy penetrating into the belly. And then change the direction so you're going the other way. And then shake that out. Just notice that. And then rub your hands together. We're getting some warmth in the hands, and we're just going to rub the backs of the kidneys. So bringing the hands to the back and feeling the kidneys, getting a little warmth there. And then we're going to move into some face tapping and some gentle massaging around the neck. So we'll start on the right side. You can take your middle and index finger and start by just tapping the top of the head. Kind of right at that area where there would have been a soft spot if our skull was still separated like when we were a baby. Just a few taps, and then take your finger and bring them to the inside of the brow, kind of towards the third eye. And then we'll do the right, this little bone underneath the eye and the temple area. And tapping is pretty simple practice. I mean, often you'll do an affirmation-ish, like if you're trying to eliminate or accept a feeling that you're feeling in your body, you would do an affirmation along with, we're just stimulating and getting those areas to help. And then take 3 fingers and just tap the cheek area. And there's lots of things you can do here. You can massage your cheek. You can, yesterday I was using the Courageous ball, which I really like. I used to use a ball called the slow-mo ball, which is essentially the same. And then the collarbone with the 2 fingers again. And then we'll do the other side. So top of the head, index and middle finger, inside the eyebrow. And then the eye, temple. Actually, should have done the temple first. It's okay. We're going to make sure we get all the same areas. And then the top of the lip, chin, 3 fingers, and then just working this cheek. And you could massage this area as well. You could use your hands, you could use a soft ball, but you want to be mindful when you're massaging the jaw, because the jaw is very temperamental, and if you work it too hard, and then the collarbone, you can actually cause more discomfort and more stress, because we hold so much tension there. There's often quite a bit of holding for people, and it's hard. But with that in mind, just take the 2 middle index finger, but do a very gentle massage. So I separate the jaw a little bit as you do that, just to free the tissues, but make it gentle, really gentle. This is something, when I've done it too hard, I feel it quite a bit later, and I don't really want to do that. Good. And then one more thing, we're going to take our hands and just gently massage the sides of the neck. Now, if we were using a ball, I have one of these balls. If you had one, I think these work really well to do this type of massage, but you can certainly use your fingers. Massaging the side of the neck, just gently. And again, this is a very temperamental area. You could easily overdo it, the sternocleidomastoid. It holds a lot of tension. And then we'll do one more thing around the head and the ear area. We'll just bring your fingers into like this Spock, Dr. Spock, or these 2 fingers if you can't do this. And you're going to slide the pinky and then ring finger on the front of the ear, middle index finger behind the ear, and just massage on either side using your fingers. Because there's a big series of vagus nerve connectors on the ear area, big series of connectors. Good. And then you can release that effort. You can do any of those for longer periods of time as well if you wanted to. Certainly could. And then make your way onto your back. And let's start here in a constructive pose. So the knees will be bent, feet are on the floor, and you have the knees and feet aligned with pelvis. And just begin to sway the knees gently from side to side. Just very gently. A little bit of a flow, and then come back to center. Let's actually extend the legs long for a moment just to lengthen the spine. So flex the toes, extend out through your heels, extend the hands up towards the ceiling, interlace your hands above your heart. Hands will turn up if that's comfortable for you, and then lower the arms above your head, extending out through the hands, lifting out through the head, reaching through your heels, lengthening the spine. And we'll be here for 3, 2, and 1. Then once again, we're going to bend the knees, and arms are going to go by your side, or you can put the arms in a cactus position. That could be nice too. And we're going to move into some spinal undulation. So we're going to inhale, press the toes into the floor, and I'm going to lift my heart up. You're going to lift yours as well to create space underneath the back. Right, create space underneath the back. And then on the exhale, you're going to flatten your back. Inhale, we're going to lengthen or lift. Exhale, press into your heels as you flatten the spine, and then moving with your breath. Inhale, lifting the heart. Exhale, press into your heels. Just getting some movement in the spine. Probably could use it. be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, if your arms are in a cactus, bring the arms down by your side, and let's begin to wake up the upper back and the shoulder blades. So roll your shoulders forward and up, and then as you exhale, squeeze the blades together as you scrape the scapula down your mat or your blanket. So you're making this big circle with the shoulders. Take your time. A couple more. And then once you get to the bottom of your circle, we're going to change the direction so we're going the other way. Inhale. And then pulling the shoulders forward and up, and then exhale as you pull them down. And then notice any sensations that begin to form in the shoulder blade area. Super nice to create space in the shoulder blade. Wake up the nervous system responders back there as well. Doing a couple more. And then finish up. When you're ready, bring your arms out to the side. So straight out to the side if that's comfortable. We'll all inhale together. On the exhale, lower the legs to the right. Gaze is going to turn to the left. On your inhale, everything comes back to center. Exhale, legs are going to go left. Gaze is going to go right. And take your time. Moving with your breath. Inhaling, gaze goes one way, legs go the other way. Feet are super stable, meaning they're pressing into the floor. Take your time. Take your time. When I refer to the ventral nervous system, to me, it reminds me of the person in the room. If there's some conflict in a room, it's the person in the room that says, let's sit down and talk about this. That to me is what it means to be in the ventral nervous system. So how are we able to access that as much as possible and not be in these states of distress? And that's where the work lies. And part of it is just creating awareness, which is what we do with a lot of this movement. Then come back up to center. Let's hug the knees in. Rock from side to side. And then go ahead and lower the feet back down. And have the feet a little bit wider, just like we did a moment ago, wider than your hips. Interlace your hands behind your head. Elbows are going to go nice and wide, so squeezing the blades together. And your heart's going to probably lift a little bit as you do that. And then turn your gaze to your right elbow and slide the right elbow up as an effort to open up the right side of the body. And then inhale everything to center and turn your gaze to the left and sliding that left arm up. So this is important as well. Come back to center. We want to open up the side body. So we have these vagus nerve receptors, part of the nervous system, reception. So receiving information to know how the body should respond in any situation, whether it's a threat or not. But we have them, and they're connected to the lungs and also in the side body here. We want to keep the side body free and open and spacious, because if we have tension in the body, it can disrupt the flow of communication. When communication is coming in, if there's tension, it's like having a static on your radio because the antenna is not quite in tune, or on your TV. For those of us that used to have antennas, we don't have antennas anymore. Not really. And then come back to center. Good. And then release your arms by your side. Let's extend the legs long and then do a little check-in here. Just check in and see how the upper body feels. Might feel a little more awake. And just noticing the back. And I'd like to get a little more awakeness in the belly area. So bend your knees once again. Let's interlace the hands behind the head. And on the inhale, lift your heart up. On the exhale, flatten your back, bring the head and shoulders up and squeeze the elbows together. So inhaling, we open, heart lifts. Exhale, press into your heels, lift the head and shoulders and squeeze. Inhaling, we open, heart lifts. Exhale,
Crunch. Let's do a couple more. Inhale, we open. Exhale, we close. And then staying here, coming straight up as you are, or this time making it a twist. So right elbow to left knee, coming down, and then crossing over left elbow to left knee. And then moving at your own pace. Take your time. And we'll be here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then let's go ahead and release the arms by the side. I went to a figure 4. So crossing the right ankle on top of the left thigh, either staying here or hugging left knee in towards left shoulder and flexing the right toes. So make this an active figure 4. Press the outside of the right heel into the top of the thigh and vice versa. Just a little resistance, just awakening. You can shift the legs over to the left slightly, just going to get in your hip a little deeper. So we appreciate that. Your body certainly will appreciate that. And then come back to center. Maybe that left leg extends. And we'll be here for 3, 2, and 1. You're going to bend your knee, lower the foot, uncross, and we'll go on to the other side. So crossing, flexing, knee comes in. Perhaps the legs go shift to the right a little bit. And opening up that hip, especially might feel a little more sensation if you've been sitting quite a bit today, like I have actually. And extend the right leg up, flexing both feet as you do that. And then go ahead and release and unwind. What I'd like you to do now is we're going to elevate our hips. So if you have a block nearby, or a blanket, or a bolster, or one of these balls, whatever you have, we're going to lift the hips up and slide our prop underneath the sacrum. And this creates a nice inversion, a very gentle inversion. And when we invert, one of the things that happens is as the blood is descending right through with gravity, and so the heart and the blood vessels are adjusting and constricting a little bit, which activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which promotes relaxation and also prevents from all the blood rushing to our head in a way that's not safe. So the body's just so, when you think about all of the functions the body does, often in response or reaction to what we're asking it to do, it's quite a miracle that we get to do anything, I think. And then just bring your awareness to your breath. Just noticing the breath to start. We're going to do a little relaxation work here, just to settle the nervous system down a little bit. So we got some things flowing. So what I'd like you to do, if it's comfortable, begin to shift the breath so that inhale and exhale mirror each other in length. And we could do fancy counting breaths along with this, but I find that, if you just inhale, try to exhale the same amount. And if you find that's hard for you, you certainly could add a counting component where you inhale for 3 and exhale for 3. But you don't have to. I'm just saying it's not required if you feel like you can manage that on your own without counting. But we're trying to get the inhale and the exhale to mirror each other in length. And then one more invitation for you. At the top of your inhale, go ahead and swallow. You're not swallowing anything, you're just swallowing. It activates these vagus nerve parts around the side of the neck. And then as you exhale, pause at the bottom of the exhale, just long enough until your body feels like it needs to inhale again. So it's not a long hold, and it's certainly not one that we want to hold long enough that the body moves into some type of distress. And it's not a big distress, but we want to make sure the body knows we're still breathing. So it's just a very slight pause until your body needs that inhale again. And this is a great thing to do. I was mentioning this yesterday at night before bed. One of the things I think we're not good at, especially now, it's more important to do it now rather than, because we're just in a lot more distress and anxiety and grief and trauma, is to make sure your body's prepared before you go to sleep. So if you think that you're going to watch TV and watch Netflix and watch all this stimulation, or who knows what's on our mind, and then hop into bed without preparing, it's not really ideal. We read books to our children, we give them a bath, we prepare them for bed, and then when it comes time for us to prepare ourselves for bed, we're not as good at it. And maybe that didn't always matter, but I find that it matters now. Then as you're ready, you're going to let go of that pattern and remove whatever was holding you up. Just move it off to the side. Let the legs go long. Arms are going to go by your side. And yeah, let's take some cleansing breaths here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And inhale. And exhale. And then one more. Inhale. And exhale. And let's make our way onto our side and then all the way onto the belly. And stacking the hands, releasing the top of the feet. Rest the forehead on the back of the hands. And just send the breath into the back area. Just imagining you're creating space around the kidneys. Taking your time. Softening any muscles that are tensing here unnecessarily. And then let's tuck all 10 toes, walking the toes towards your nose. Press back through your heels. And with the hands and the forearms, on the inhale, lift into this cobra, this forearm cobra. Exhale, we're going to lower back down. On the inhale, you're going to lift. Exhale, lower. And let's do a couple more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And then one more. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Release the tops of the feet. Have the hands underneath the shoulders. Pull the shoulders away from your ears. And then with your fingertips, as you inhale, pull your heart forward and up. Exhaling, we lower back down. On the inhale, let's lift. Exhale, we lower. And then inhale, we lift. Exhale, lower. And then one more because we can. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And then I want to transition into a Sphinx pose, but I'm going to invite you. You can do a couple of things. Let me grab this little blanket. You can grab anything. Actually, I could use this Zapdo as well. But have something underneath your heart, underneath the sternum, to put a little pressure into the heart area. So if you have something, I think a block would be too hard. So I think a blanket would be good. I have this one of these balls would be really good, or even the Zafu probably would work. A bolster could work as well. So it's a supported Sphinx pose. Normally we'll do this active, but for our purposes today, just because we're trying to get into the vagus nerve, because it's on my mind, because I did this workshop and it went really well, and there's so many smart people there with great questions and interaction, that just reminds me that we need to talk more about these things in class and make the classes, a little bit of a mini workshop so we can walk away with some information that's useful other than just practicing. So that's trying to figure out how to make that happen moving forward. But this is what we want to do today. We want to use a little support. And you could do this, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, it's up to you. And as you're breathing, you're breathing into the prop. So you're creating a little bit of resistance. And let the legs soften. Notice if you're holding in other parts of your body that where it's not necessary. So we'll be here for about 5 more breaths, not too much longer. And then take your hands underneath your shoulders and let's push ourselves up and back. You can move this off to the side as you're doing that. Let's come into a child's pose. And when you're in child's pose, just allow yourself to feel any sensations that are occurring in that chest area. Just observing that space, a little spacious, it's a little stimulated. That part can be very soothing, just a little pressure there. You can do a little tapping there, just like we were tapping our face. You can tap the chest area. That can be really useful and helpful. And then as you're ready, let's walk our hands back. We're going to come up to a seat. And just hug the knees in. Press the feet into the floor. Lift out through the top of the head. And let's extend the legs long just to release the backs of the knees. So pull the knees toward you. Pushing out through the heel. And then we're going to make our way onto all fours. So come back onto all fours or come back onto your mat onto all fours. And wrists are going to go underneath the shoulders. Knees will go underneath the hips. All 10 toes will tuck. As you inhale, drop the belly. Heart comes forward. Exhale, rounding the spine. Inhale, drop the belly. Heart comes forward. And exhale, rounding. Let's do one more. Inhale, drop the belly, heart comes forward. Exhale, we round. And then come back to neutral. So neither cat nor cow. And begin to barrel roll the spine. So moving the left rib cage to the left. Let the belly collapse. Right rib cage to the right. And then rounding your back. Getting a little fluidity in the torso, especially in the spine. And then you can close your eyes here. And if you want, you can send the hips back, making a circle, going from one side to the other, and allowing your body to follow its intuition. And this is how, when we do this kind of movement and we're just doing that deeper listening to the body, that's how we're developing what's called interoception, which is our ability to sense what's going on inside of us. So it's moving more to the thoughts, emotions, and the sensations that surround those. Moving deep into the energetic body. What does it feel like when you're able to access the energetic body? What does it feel like when you're able to access what's going on in your nervous system? And that takes practice and awareness. And this is one way to help cultivate that, just listening to your intuition. And the more we're able to access and listen to what our body needs, and the more we're able to access, that gut intuition and answer it in a way that's useful, the safer we're going to feel in our bodies, and the more relaxed our body is going to be able to be. And if you've ever not felt safe in your body, or if, I work with people who don't feel safe in their bodies and they're really shut down and they're just so fearful, you can't be clear about anything when you don't feel safe in your body. You really can't. You can't feel safe with relationships. You can't feel safe about your decisions. You can't feel safe about anything. And then come back to a stop. And we're going to fold our blanket in half. Yes, we are. We're headed there. We're going to the tremoring. So fold your blanket in half. If you have a blanket on your mat, you may not. You certainly don't need one. And we're going to make our way back onto our back. So settle in here. Settle in. Soles of the feet come together. Knees go wide. Lift your heart up so the blades come together a little bit. Arms go down by your side. And then from here, we're going to lift the hips up. So soles of the feet together, hips lift. You might feel a rocking, a bouncing, a shaking. And the more you do this, as more frequently you do this, the more likely you are to, the tremors will happen fairly quicker. Fairly quicker, is that a word? Fairly quickly. You could always have the bottoms of the feet on the floor and lift the hips if holding the soles of the feet together doesn't work for you. When I do this, the tremor, my feet actually prefer to be on the floor, but I've been doing this for many, many years. So that's just my body's very comfortable in this modality. When we're newer, having the soles of the feet together seem to activate the tremors a little easier. So yeah, if you want to activate the tremors a little easier, this is the best way. And most people do it this way. Usually they do it the other way if they have back issues or they're unable to hold this way. So staying here, we'll be here for maybe another 30 seconds. I'm actually going to lower because I think my body's ready. But keep your hips up. The longer you keep your hips up, it turns that switch on to allow the tremors to engage. So just a few more breaths. Good. And then go ahead and lower back down. Let the knees go as wide as they can. Let's inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Do it a couple more times. Inhale. And exhale. And then inhaling. And exhale. Okay, so from here, we're going to close the knees a couple of inches, and we're going to hold here. And it may take a moment or two, but the legs might begin to release here, and they might begin to shake. They might not, and that's okay too. But you might feel this burning or intense sensation on the inside of the thigh. Is very common as the energy begins to move pretty dynamically. Even if you're not shaking completely or you can't feel like you're shaking, the energy is moving. We don't necessarily always feel shaking as the energy moves. And this release may happen a number of different ways. You can be expressed from emotions. Emotions might come up, or tears, or sound. Sometimes people laugh. Depending on what your body's releasing, there may be another experience your body was doing at the same time, like laughing or crying, and it wants to revisit that and release it so we can finish it. Basically, we're finishing the process of something that wasn't able to discharge, and then close the knees a little more. And that's actually what dreams can mean too. They're finishing a process of something that wasn't discharged. Yeah, so close them a little bit more, and I can see my legs are shaking a little bit more here. And if you feel like you need a break, just straighten your legs like this, and then you can resume whenever you want to. Breaks are okay, especially if you're newer. And then see how I'm resuming, and the tremors come right back for me. It may take a moment or two if you're newer for the tremors to resume, but if you are tremoring, they will likely come back. So we're going to tremor for a little bit today, and then I'm going to set you in your relaxation state. We're going to go through a little mini yoga nidra because I love the nidra. Let's inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. I think it's one of the best tools we have available to us to really settle down the nervous system, and I think it complements this modality really nicely. A little trickier to do, I find, in the studio for a lot of reasons. The classes are big, and I'm doing a lot more observing and visiting people, but when we're here, we're all a little bit on our own, although I certainly am here for you. If you have a question, you can always type it in the chat box, or if something is amiss, I would certainly want you to make me aware of that. Now, you can always put the bottoms of the feet on the floor and see if the tremors continue. They may not. If they stop when you put the feet on the floor, then put the soles of the feet back together. Some people prefer to have the soles of the feet together. They just like the way that feels and presents in their body. So any of those are fine. I like having the feet on the floor because it allows my legs to relax in a way that I'm no longer using muscular energy to hold them in place. And I find that the release is a little easier, a little more fluid. So everyone expresses differently. Everyone has different preferences. There's no right or wrong way. Sometimes at the end of a practice like this, you could feel a little bit depleted, which I would say, depending on what you're releasing, that certainly could happen. That's why taking those breaks by extending your legs is useful. Sometimes people feel relief. I'd say that's probably the most common thing. Like, oh, I just let off some steam. I would say that if you're, for me, moving into that ventral state, that relaxed state, that grounded state, it's what I feel like after this practice. It really grounds me and it really releases any stagnation and stickiness and stuck energy, just lets it release. And also during a time like this where there's so much chaos going on, that the more frequently we're releasing, whether it's through qigong or through yoga, this is a very dynamic and quick way. This to me kind of cuts to the chase, which is why I like it, because I tend to like to cut to the chase. I don't want to waste my time. And this really releases in a way that is quite effective and quick. And the sooner we release energy that is stuck in our body, the easier it's going to release, number one. And if there's any trauma attached to it, the less likely we are to be traumatized. When I was teaching yesterday, let's inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. So you can play with this now, move the legs a little bit closer, bottoms of the feet on the floor. You can even practice pressing the feet on the floor. I like doing that. I feel the energy actually move up my spine when I press the feet into the floor. That can be nice. Or you can just relax the body and let it release. And let's inhale through the nose. This cleansing breaths are really useful. And exhale through the mouth. So as I was saying, we want to release that energy as soon as we can, as soon as we're able to. And we want to be able to prepare ourselves for sleep. So this is a nice thing to do later in the day, closer to bed. Settling the nervous system down. We're going to settle it down even further. We'll be here for maybe another minute. And so you guys stay here for another minute. I'm actually going to come out because I'm going to begin my transition to move into the next part of the last part of the class. And let's inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. And as you're ready, let's make our way out of the tremors. So straighten the legs, point and flex the toes. Circle the ankles and circle the wrists. And once you feel like the tremors have subsided, for today, I'd like you to come into a supported position on your back, just because we're going to go through a nidra, and I think that's the best position to go into a nidra, which is a body scan. So set yourself up with your blankets or whatever you need, but a more traditional shavasana with the legs long and being on your back, I think is useful for our purposes today. So settling in, and just allow yourself to get really settled and relaxed. Taking some nice deep breaths. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And inhale. And exhale. So I'm going to go through a nidra, and there's lots of different versions of yoga nidra. I like doing what's based on the irest philosophy. I find it a little more accessible, and this is just an old, tried and true practice that from Eastern medicine, both the Chinese medicine lineage and the
yoga lineage. They both have their different ways of doing this body scan. It's both traditions. I find it to be exceptionally useful for helping with sleep. I probably 5 out of 7 nights a week I'm listening to a nidra. It's not something you could guide yourself. You need help with it. Otherwise, you're in your head. You need to be guided in this particular meditation. If you ever want to know about it, you can send me a note. I'll let you know. I'll send you some links that you can access. So let's take a deep inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And I'd like to start by just imagining what we call an irest, an inner resource. And an inner resource is a person, place, thing, event, moment in time. Could be in nature, could be an animal that you bring your awareness to. And it's a time that cultivated immense joy for you, or safety, being at ease. And so bring that to mind. And if you can't think of anything, imagine if you had a moment in time like that, what it might be like. Imagine that. And then notice the sensations around that thought. And even notice if there are smells associated with it, or sounds, colors, noticing that as well. And cultivating this memory or this object, this moment in time, cultivating it in your mind and in your body. And noticing, all the sensations that are present around that. So this is what we call our inner resource, and you can access this anytime. So if we're going through the scan and you find that you need to, you're just feeling uncomfortable, you go back to this space. You can cultivate this really anytime in the practice or anytime throughout your day. And it's nice to have a resource or two like that. If you don't have one, I suggest the practice. It's a really good one. It's useful. It's like muscle memory. And muscle memory in the way that allows the body to relax. So relaxation memory, I guess we could call it. And then we're going to go through the scan. So just follow my voice and just noticing any sensations that arise as I guide you through the body. So starting with the right foot, the right ankle, right calf, right knee, right thigh, right hip, center of the pelvis, left hip, left thigh, left knee, left foreleg, left ankle, and left foot. And bring your awareness back to the center of the pelvis, the low back, the mid back, and the upper back. Bring your awareness to the belly, the heart, the space that surrounds the heart, and the upper chest. Right collarbone, right shoulder, right upper arm, elbow, forearm, wrist, and hand. Left collarbone, left shoulder, left upper arm, left elbow, left forearm, left wrist, left hand. Bring your awareness to the front of the throat, the back of the throat, and inside of the throat. Bring your awareness to the jaw, the upper jaw, the lower jaw, the mouth, sides of the mouth, front and back of the mouth, and the upper and lower part of the mouth. Bring your awareness to the nose, left nostril, right nostril, then both nostrils together. Bring your awareness to the right eye, left eye, both eyes together. Bring your awareness to the forehead, right ear, left ear, both ears together. Sides of the head, top of the head, back of the head. Bring your awareness to the right side of the body, left side of the body, both sides together. Front of the body, back of the body, front and back of the body together. Bring your awareness to the whole body, the whole body, the whole body. And then I'll just let you sit quietly for a few more moments on your own. And just noticing what arises, allowing yourself to rest here. And I'll call you back. I'll call you back when it's time. And begin to lengthen your breath. Invite movement back into your body. You can begin to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes. Circle the wrists and ankles. If there's space around you, you can give yourself a nice big stretch, extending the legs long, bringing the arms above your head. And then when you're ready, you can bring your knees in towards your chest, one knee at a time, giving yourself a hug. Rocking from side to side. And then raise one arm above your head, roll onto your side. And just as you're on your side, doing a final check-in, just noticing the heart, noticing the breath, just noticing what arises here, what sensations are present. And then as you're ready, take your time, make your way up to a seat as you're ready. Take your time. We'll bring our arms out to the sides with the palms facing up. Inhale your arms out and up. Allow your palms to touch above your head. On the exhale, you're going to lower your hands in front of your heart. And Anjali Mudra, the mudra of gratitude. We'll close the practice with one round of Om, joining me if you wish. Let's all exhale together. And inhale. Om. And one of these days, hopefully soon, we'll be able to Om again together. Can't wait for that. We'll bow down towards our head with gratitude for the practice, with gratitude for our bodies. And may any merits gained from our practice today benefit ourselves and all beings everywhere, and especially those affected by COVID-19. Thank you all for showing up tonight. Really appreciate it. Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And I'll be here, not here, actually, I'll be on Zoom on Wednesday at 10:30 teaching gentle yoga and neurogenic tremoring through breathe. So you can register, make sure you register at least a half hour ahead of time, then restorative on Friday at 5. And then Sunday, I'll be doing just gentle yoga through breathe. So those 3 classes are through breathe. And I'll be doing this class on Monday night. I didn't promote it. I was busy getting ready for the weekend, but I'll be continuing to doing the community class just because it feels like the right thing to do. All right. Take care of yourself. Have a great rest of your night. Namaste.